Hello, everybody. Today we are with Niklas Karlsson from the band Orbit Culture from Sweden. And so we are going to talk about the new album, which is called Death Above Life. It's gonna be released soon in the October 3rd. So how are you, Niklas? And I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Nicholas from Horticulture, and I'm happy to be here with you, man. Talking, about the new album and all the stupid shit.
Yeah. So my first question, we cannot two important changes about the new album. You join a new label, Century Media, and especially you released the album with Buster Odeholm for the recording. So what does this what this do these two changes have made for you for the songwriting, the sound, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think like looking back at it, the writing of the album is kind of the same as we have always done. Just playing guitar in front of this computer screen here. Into my Cubase project, where I have all the songs that we have done, for the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
Everything is just like a pool of music. So it started, very, very much so that, as we have always done. But I always knew that I wanted to have Buster Odeholm on board for this, the next chapter of horticulture. And finally, we had the budget for it, and with Central Media, backing us, everything just feels a bit bigger, and the scale of things has just like expanded so much. And with Buster's, massive sound and his mixing skills, and it just felt right, the right guy for the job.
yeah.
Especially being on, being the first release on a major label like Central Media. We just knew that we had to make it. We had to take the next step, I would say.
Oh yeah. Okay, fine. Um, Another question. You are the frontman and also the guitarist in charge of, I think, all the lyrics. Uh, are you the only man on the boat?
When it comes to the writing, yeah, we this time around, however, on Death Above Life, we changed. I wrote like the songs,
Yeah.
but in the back in the day, I've always written like the drums and the bass and stuff,
Okay.
and obviously the guitars and stuff. But now I wanted Christopher to be
Yeah.
able to actually play some of the shit that we that we write. So that's why I gave, completely. I basically just gave the guitar and vocals to Christopher, and then had him write his drums how he wanted to, how he plays fills and stuff. I felt that was important to get his, because drums is such a like a foundation of a song anyways, especially in this style of music. So it was important that he felt included, to have his stuff, and being able to play that shit live too, is important. And we did the same stuff with the bass too. Had Frederick, do some of, think more of a, like a bassist rather than a guitarist, because when I write bass, I think that it's basically a guitar with, an octave
Yeah.
lower. So that was like the big change. But other than that, it's, the same stuff. I write the demos here, I track it up in our HQ, and yeah, the same old, same old.
Okay. Okay, fine. Oh, the voices on the album are very impressive, and so how are you gonna do all the vocals on when you will be on scene? You are going to, yeah,
I have no clue yet. No, but we are rehearsing a lot now, and
yeah,
already I found parts where I might have to change. It will not be like that audible for people, but I have to like change some techniques to not burn myself out, because I'm jumping between, you know, all these different kind of tones, I would say. But luckily for me, we are not gonna play like the ballad, The Path I Walk, which like demands a very focused you know, mindset when it comes to putting that vocals down, especially in a live setting. But the growling sits, you know, rather good. There are some high notes that I really have to practice a bit more, I feel like. But and it's, but more so the problem, you know, from doing a studio album and then rehearsing and not the other way around, is that the hand coordination between the singing and the playing can be, you know, sometimes very tricky. But the more I practice it every day, the more it just gets a few percent better every day, so it feels good.
Okay, fine. So let's talk about the album. I read on a recent interview that you speak also about it was a big change, like a rebirth. This new album. Do you confirm that?
Yeah, I think it more comes down to, you know, being releasing this album on a label, you know, major label like Century Media. That's a big change in itself. But
Yeah.
also with this big ass, you know, we knew that the album will you know, get attention because it was, you know, already released. It's going to be released by Central Media, and when an album is
Ah,
released through them, it's going to automatically get some attention.
okay.
But with that attention, we also knew that we were going to go into these way larger rooms as a headline act, and that also felt like something that we've worked for so many years now, playing, you know, these great support slots and these great support tours, where we put down like the groundwork of maybe someday becoming a headline act on our, you know, ourselves, in this scale, I would say. So it, in that, in a sense, feels like a rebirth to us. Like we have done, you know, those old albums, and we have just recently, you know, back in 2022, started to play live like a frequent thing.
Okay.
But now it's just a matter of time of like getting all those albums up to you know, a headline slot at the you know, at our home, at these bigger venues basically. And it that comes with a lot of responsibility, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And the new album is called Death Above Life. So I would like to know what is your relationship with the death? Uh, I mean, do you want to say that death is more important than life?
No, the thing is, the title is kind of backwards, and I know it can be confusing. But
Yeah.
you know, making this album and playing so many shows last year, there was definitely some frustration, you know, in certain stuff, especially behind the scenes, where we had to, you know, cut ties with, whether it was people, feelings, you know, just we with this album we let ourselves, you know, move into the future instead of dwelling on old shit, basically. And so in a sense, we would rather, you know, choose life above death, death being, you know, the shit that we've gone through, instead of dwelling on stuff. But it would be kind of weird to name the album Life Above Death. It doesn't sound that metal, so we just switched it around, and so it became Death Above Life. So but for, you know, the fan, I think it has hopefully different kind of meanings in the end for them, like a personal meaning. Yeah.
Okay. And about the cover, I think it is very good cover. It could be a new tattoo for me. Uh,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, but who made it?
uh, I'm gonna keep like a long story quite short. You know, we made all these songs, and that's, you know, usually how we have done it. Like no, that's how you should do it. I mean, bands, they write their stuff, they record their stuff, and then they choose an artwork, right? We were always used to doing backwards, like we choose an artwork first, and then we write the songs.
Okay.
That's how we've done it in the past. But so the proper way, as you should, I guess. But we had no clue, what was gonna be on the artwork. We only knew that we wanted to have this kind of blue gray kind of tone to it, all the visual stuff, but we couldn't find the right artwork for it because we needed something pre-made, right? But then I searched for days and days on end on Instagram, just like dove into that social media, and then luckily I found this great painter called Miroslav Pekko, right? And he was doing these beautiful paintings, a lot in that color palette that we needed, or that we felt we needed. And so I reached out to him and asked him, like, can we buy this artwork from you, like a digital file, which is very common these days? And he was like, no, I only sell paintings. And we are like, fuck, how expensive is that gonna be? But we got it for a great price, and he was very supportive. And so we bought the paintings, and it just fit. The monster itself on the artwork has these horns and stuff. And we always felt like our identity when it comes to the visuals has been a lot with horns and stuff, being from the northern part of from the northern part of the world, I say, coming from Sweden here. So, and especially with our like logo, the jagged, like, yeah, I don't know what it is, like an antler, I guess. So it felt right to have that, and the color palette was there. We had this great painting that we had to like photograph and crop and everything to make it, the like an old school album release kind of deal. So yeah, it was a great process. But yeah, the great artist, and his name is Miroslav Pekko from Slovakia.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very good one. I'd like to talk about two songs of the album, especially Hydra and There's Above Life, the eponym one. But especially Hydra, I think these two songs and Hydra are more in a mid-tempo. There are two songs more, how to say, heavier, I think, if you compare with the rest of the album. So could you give us a word about these two songs, and especially Hydra?
I think both of those songs, they were like born out of like a sound check, when you just when I sit in here and like try out different guitar tones, I usually only have like one hand available. The rest is like on the mouse here and just trying to click around, but you have to like chug it at the same time to see what you're doing. And so that's how both of those songs became what they are, like, very, as you said, very made tempos kind of slow, very chugging. But we also felt that it was both of those songs had this like marching feeling, like just stomping and stomping, which is gonna be very cool live to play. We played Death Above Life this summer at some festivals, and
Okay.
Seeing, and obviously we can't see ourselves when we play it, but you can look on YouTube. It just feels like this earthquake sound, which is so cool.
Okay.
But I think those two songs, they are kind of they stick together in some way. But what's cool about Death Above Life, the album as a whole, is that it takes all these different kind of roads, and yeah, it has like a red thread throughout, but it takes these big turns here and there. While those songs were in one corner, there's other songs in another corner.
Yeah, okay. So, hey, do you have a guitar next to you or around you to play a riff, or Hydra, or maybe The Path I Walk, which you...
The Path I Walk is so easy on guitar. I guess it's only two chords basically.
Yeah, okay.
But
As you
I
want.
have this fella.
Yeah. Oh,
But I think the path I walk is just like between those two places only, something like that.
yeah. This last song is very different of the rest of the album. So can you talk about it?
Yeah, definitely. It's the like first of all, I think it's my personal favorite of the album, even though it's not like a metal song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has this because that was one of those songs that has been with us for so many years, but we never knew what to do with it basically because it's and just a few years ago it was only like a movie soundtrack kind of deal, which we had no clue of, what to do with it. But then we got the vocals and the lyrics and stuff down. It just felt very urban in some way for us at least, even though it doesn't have like distorted guitars or heavy drums or heavy bass or anything like that. It just feels like urban but very scaled down, very like private, intimate like this. uh but yeah, and being a huge fan of movie cinematic music, it just felt right to have it, closing off the album like that in a more sad way, I would say.
Yeah, okay. I got two more questions for you. You have been touring with two big bands, SLIPKNOT in 2024, I think, and also more recently TRIVIUM. So I'd like to know if these two bands, especially SLIPKNOT, influenced the writing of the new album.
I think, like, not actively, but in the back of our minds, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you take. I guess you get inspired without, actively getting inspired like it was your choice. It just happened to, you know, you know, get into your skin and DNA, and so when you're exposed to so many cool new stuff when you're out playing, especially with huge bands like that. But I always felt like the song Bloodhound on this album was very, instrumentally. I think it was written before the Slipknot tour, if I remember correctly. But it had that anger like a Slipknot song might have.
Mm.
But then we saw Slipknot each night, and I think we wanted to do something just relentless like Slipknot did on that song. So you tend to draw inspirations from everywhere. And I think for us being so damn lucky in getting all these great support tours, whether it's for Slipknot, Trivium, In Flames, Meshuggah, the list goes on. It's just the best school of rock that you could ever ask for. So you're so exposed to the best of the best at all times, and of course you're gonna get inspired all the time too, and it's gonna show in the music.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So my last question. Um, about Sweden. I was watching TV the last 2 weeks. It was the basketball championship. Sweden was here. When I look football, Sweden is here. About music, we can say that Sweden has a big influence in music genre with old band like ABBA, but in metal especially. And you are a little country, I think. So and in metal especially, we had the anti-dark tranquility. So how do you explain that a little country like Sweden can have so many talents, and in music especially?
I think the more, because I mean, we've been asked this question quite a lot, and for us being from here, everything is just quite natural being the way they are, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think if I try to like dissect it, it has to do with, in school, especially from an early young age here in Sweden, you're exposed to music in school very early on, because on every fucking thing that we do, we sing songs for some reason. Like whether it's in the church or, you know, in choirs, you know, music is pretty much everywhere. And if you add that on top of, you know, it being cold as like a polar bear's asshole here, you know, you're just forced to be inside and doing something productive, basically. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from. You know, you're inside so much, and we are a very kind of shy population, I would say too, especially maybe not in Stockholm, Gothenburg and stuff like that, but in these rural areas where we are from, when you're forced inside, obviously you hang out with people too, but you're very, everybody has their kind of different hobbies and stuff. And I think that if I jump back to the school side of stuff, I think it's very encouraged to do, you know, a lot of creative stuff in school too, if that makes sense. And we've always had Swedes have always had like a thing for a good melody hook, I think.
Okay. Okay, fine. So thank you very much, Niklas. It was a pleasure. This new album, it should be the album of the month of October. So, but we have a lot of released new albums in October, but it may be the one for me. So, and
Hope so.
yeah, and listeners, you can join us on metal-SWE and saw us on our new channel, YouTube, metal-SWE TV. So thank you very much. Have
Thank you, man.
a good night and see you later. I hope so. Thank you very
Absolutely,
much.
man.
Yeah,
Have a nice evening.
yeah.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye bye.